DIY, do it yourself. No, not in a foreign country. No, 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 no. This way lies madness. Alrighty, here we go. I happen to be in Manila. I almost said Manila, Thailand, because it's kind of like Thailand was better in a lot of ways. Manila, BGC. I have a little tiny do-it-yourself project. Tiny, 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 easy, easy project. Requires almost no tools, but it required a few little stupid items that I didn't have. Okay, no problemo. I'll go to the huge warehouse thing, which is half a block from my condo. And I'll buy a couple of little tools, and I'll come home and I'll have some lunch, and I'll pet the kitty, and I'll do this little project, and it'll be a lovely afternoon. I mean, you can't go outside because it's hotter than the surface of the sun, so you got to stay in the afternoons and just do little DIY projects. Okay. I had to make a hole, kind of a semi-precision hole, in a little piece of plastic for a piece of camera equipment. Easy, easy peasy, right? Yeah, okay. So I thought, no problem. Now I have one of these things, this orange lighter butane, Bic lighter on steroids thing, little torch thing. They don't get all that hot because butane doesn't get all that hot, but it gets hot enough for what I want it to do. And trouble is, mine was out of butane. Okay, easy. You go to 7-Eleven, you buy a little refill canister of butane, right? No problem, easy. You go to Safeway and buy it, probably. Okay, so I walked the half a block in the searing surface of the sun heat, went to a huge warehouse place called Home Labyrinth. Labyrinth. That's what it's affectionately, or not so affectionately, referred to as in America and whatever other country it's in. I don't know if we're allowed to say the actual name of the business here in the Philippines, because this is a wacky kind of a semi-communistic state. But I think Home Labyrinth, I don't know. It's a labyrinth. It's for home stuff and tools and supply. Home Labyrinth, that fits pretty well. Okay. So I waltz in and tell them I'd like to buy some butane. This little canister, they're this big or they're this big, or they have various sizes and usually 20 or 30 different brands, and they're $1 or something, $1.50, and you stick them in the end of your lighter thing and you fill it up, and then you're good to go for another month, okay. No have. What? This is Home Labyrinth, and you don't have little butane refills? Really? This has been a long-standing problem with everything in Home Labyrinth, but also with everything in BGC and everything in Manila and everything in the Philippines and everything in every other Southeast Asian country and everything everywhere, I guess. I don't know, except America and Germany and France and Luxembourg and Ukraine. I could buy all kinds of shit in Ukraine. Easy, no problem. Romania, anything you want. Go to that supermarket. Okay. Not in the entire region of Southeast Asia. Stocking is something that they have a problem with. Okay, so no butane refills. Okay. No problem. I'll have to order one online because the nearest other hardware store from me is miles away, and it's hotter than the surface of the sun and raining at the same time. So yeah, okay. So I will just go full Monty for now because I want to do this project today. It's just a little pet project. I want to do. I'll just buy a little hand torch like this. Everybody needs one. It's a law. In America, it's a law. You have to have one. I mean, they do annual inspections to make sure you have a hand torch. And if you don't have one, you get a big freaking fine. You probably go to jail. You got to have a hand torch, okay? So okay, no problem. You don't have the butane, and they didn't have the lighter thing either to replace mine. That's out of butane. Works fine. It's just out of butane. They didn't have the lighter thing either. They didn't have any kind of lighter that I could find. And you can't really ask them because it's supposed to be English-speaking country, but it ain't so much. They're speaking English in their brain, but when it comes out of their mouth, it's something else. It's Pig Latin or something. I don't know what it is. Okay, so no problem. Forget it. I'm not going to get riled up about this. Let's, I'll just buy a little hand torch because if you buy a good one, they're hotter anyway. Especially if you could find one that burns MAP gas, MAPP gas. It's really hot. You could weld the fender back on a car with those suckers. And so I showed them a couple of pictures online. Do you have anything that looks like this? A little hand torch, little pocket torch thing. Have anything like that? I don't care if it's not exactly like any of these shown on these various pages. Do you have anything that's even remotely similar? And I'll go look at them and I'll decide which one I want. So this entourage of employees at Home Labyrinth led me through the store, through the labyrinth, and we arrived at a dark little area. Everything's dark in there because they don't want to burn the electricity, because they don't have no customers and they aren't making any money and they can't afford to pay the electric bill, so they keep it dark in there. You almost got to have a flashlight or one of the forehead lights, you walk around like you're in a damn cave or something. Okay, so they lead me to this dark, gloomy place with cobwebs and shit. And they say, yeah, here's our torches. Yeah, well, they were big old honking things. You could melt the fenders off a car with those things. None of them were suitable. None of them were just little pocket torches. They were for burning the paint off a house or something. Okay, so now it's becoming clear that we got problems. And then it suddenly dawned on me that even if I bought one of those things, they didn't have any butane refills or supplies for them anyway. Yeah, welcome to Southeast Asia, or otherwise known as Alice's rabbit hole. Okay, so I think, okay, we'll just keep going here. My plan was to take a nail, heat it up with my little lighter thing. When they didn't have the lighter thing, I thought, well, okay, I'll heat it up with a little blowtorch thing. When they didn't have the blowtorch thing, I started to wonder, what the hell am I going to do? I don't have any, much to my chagrin, in my condo, I don't have any way to make fire. I don't have any way to make fire. All of my cooking stuff is induction. Can't make a fire on induction, or maybe MacGyver can, but I can't. I was thinking, how could I do this? I got some alcohol. I could pour it in a cup. Let's see. And then I could take a light bulb and I could turn it on and I could break the light bulb, and that little flash would ignite the alcohol. But alcohol burns really cold, and I'm not sure that would be enough to do what I needed to do. What I needed to do was I needed to get a nail, and I thank God, thank Buddha, thank, what's that other one? Great Pumpkin. I already had the nail. I don't know where it came from. I just had one in a drawer, And I thought, okay, I got to get this nail really hot. It didn't have to be exactly red hot, but it's got to be getting close to red hot. And then I'll poke it through that little plastic thing, kind of thick plastic, so it's got to retain its heat a little bit to get all the way through it. You might have to reheat it 2 or 3 times. And then I'll poke it through there, and then I'll have my hole, except the nail's going to get really, really hot. And so I needed some pliers to hang on to the nail, because you're going to have to push it hard. And my first thought was that, well, I didn't have any pliers, so I'll wrap it in tin foil, and I get it really, really hot. Before I knew I couldn't make fire, and I thought I would make it really, really hot, and then the tin foil would insulate me, and I could push it through the plastic, and, okay, whatever. And that didn't seem like such a good idea. So I thought, well, I just buy some pliers, just buy some pliers. I mean, this is home labyrinth. Sure as hell, they got some freaking God blessed pliers. Okay, so show them a picture. Yeah, we got those. Yeah. They didn't say that in English. They grunted it in Tagalog. Okay, so they lead me through the labyrinth, all with our little miner's lights, peering through the darkness, trying to find the section. And we found the plier section. They had every kind of weirdo plier I've ever seen in my entire life. The weirdest pliers I've ever seen in my entire life. Specialty stuff for what? I don't know. Surgery on a pig, I guess, because they had no other use. They weren't suitable to this task. And I'm thinking, oh dear God, save me. They had no pliers like this. They had no normal plier. You can see the picture here. They had none. And the employees couldn't even believe it. And they went and mustered up a bunch of employees, and they got about 5 of them, and they tore that store, home labyrinth, apart, looking for the pliers that they knew they had, but they didn't have them. Not was it a situation where they were out of stock. There was no place for them on the tool racks, on the display counters. There was no place for pliers that looked anything remotely like that. And I thought, well, I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on some weird-ass thing that is only good for, operating on the prostate of a pig, because I'll probably never do that a second time. I'd rather have just, normal, regular, general pliers that I can use for other stuff, And after 15 minutes, it was declared, no, we don't have pliers. Not spoken in English, spoken in pig Latin. Okay, so I got the butane. I got to order that online or take a cab to the next nearest hardware store. Not going to do it today. I thought, okay, I can pick one of these up at 7-Eleven or the big grocery store or something like that. They got a little hardware section. Nope, they don't have them. The little torches, no. 7-Eleven's not going to have that. Probably not even in the U.S. Well, maybe in the U.S., I don't know. But they sure as hell don't have them here. So I have to order that if I want that. Okay, and then the butane, got to order that. Now the problem with ordering stuff here is you can go to Lazada, which in my opinion is the most evil retailer on the face of God's green earth. The trouble is that if it's available locally around Manila, it's going to take 3 or 4, maybe 5 days to get it, depending on when the seller feels like boxing it up. Some of them are really good. 5% of them are really good. They'll box it up same day, next day. You get it 2 days after that. Pretty good. That's 5%. The rest of the time, it'll be a week, and it shows not yet boxed. And you email them and you say, hey, I placed this order a week ago. You took my money a week ago. It's not even in the box yet. What's the problem? I'll bring you a freaking box if that's the problem, if that's the bottleneck. And of course, you don't get a reply. So the other problem is that it will say you're going to get it by such and such a date. But in reality, it doesn't exist in the Philippines. And so it's going to come from China. And that's going to take 2 weeks, 3 weeks to come from China. And it's probably going to get hung up in customs or lost in customs, or it's going to be something you didn't even remotely order, or it's going to be broken, or it's going to be faulty, or there's going to be some damn thing coming from China. So this little DIY project is looking worse and worse. So no pliers, no butane torch, no butane, no nothing. I thought, okay, this is just horseshit. This is just bullshit. This is just bullshit. Forget all the fiery shit. Probably going to catch my cat on fire anyway. Let's just get a drill. I just get a drill. Now, I travel a lot, so weight in my luggage is always a huge universal problem. I don't want a 1/4-inch drill. I can't afford the weight. I can't even count the number of countries I've left after having given away everything that weighs over about 12 ounces, because you can't, airlines are getting sillier and sillier about weight, and it's costing more and more, and you can't carry weighty things around. So I thought, okay, no problem. I'll get a little hand drill. No have is a common phrase all through Southeast Asia, regardless of the language at the moment. It means no have, it means we ain't got it, probably never going to have it. When you go to restaurants here, very often 1/3 of the entire menu is taped over. Little teeny tiny signs that say, no have. Okay. Hand drills, no have. They didn't have little hand drills. They didn't have any kind of little hand drill. Okay. I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. You shot my day to hell, probably. But anyway, let's keep going. Do you have a Dremel? Or anything remotely resembling a Dremel? Oh, yes, we have like a Dremel, oh yeah, okay, come. So we all fired up our little carbide forehead lights, and we trucked off through the cobwebs and the dust and the lumber and they took me to the aisle that had the Dremels. By God, it was amazing. I was stunned. There was Dremels. It was a better selection of Dremels than I've ever seen in any place in the U.S. It was stunning. And I thought, my God, I've come to heaven. It's at the very least, it's Dremel heaven. I started looking around and I thought, yeah, this bit I'll get this little selection of bits here. That'll work fine. And so I picked them out and I said, okay, now I need a motor. I need a little Dremel motor of whatever manufacturer, whatever brand. I don't care. Probably going to be from China. It's going to last 5 days at most. Anyway. So where's the motors for all your tens of thousands of Dremel bits? Oh, Lazada, we no have Dremel motors. No, only bit. Here, look, it's a lovely selection of Dremel bits. Look, oh, so many. But no motors, not a one, not even a Chinese piece of shit powered by a squirrel on Adderall. I thought, well, okay, I'll buy a bit, I'll buy a tiny little drill bit, and I'll just hold on to it with the pliers, and I'll take 4 hours and I'll hand turn that bit through. Oh, wait a minute, no pliers. Oh, sucking hell. God. So then I realized, okay, this project isn't getting done today, but I'm already here in the store. And once I order all this stuff from Lazada, or I take a cab across town to another store that probably won't have it either. I was in Ace Hardware the other day, the actual U.S. Ace Hardware, real Ace Hardware. They didn't have pocket knives. I just needed the tiny pocket knife. They didn't have any pocket knives at all, not one. And when I expressed my disappointment, they were shocked and insulted. Okay. So I thought, okay, as long as I'm here in Home Labyrinth, I'll get the little tool that I need to do the finishing touch on this little project that should have been done by now. I needed any kind of little file. Little flat file, little triangular file, any kind of little file that I could file down a flat surface. Okay. Pretty simple, you know. I didn't think about it at the time, but I could have gone to the drugstore and gotten, fingernail file. Probably would have worked, I don't know. But I stupidly asked them for a file. They took me to the file section. And all they had was round files. They had no file with any flat surface on it, like the one shown in the picture. Nothing like that, only round files. They had chainsaw sharpening files, and they had every other kind of round file. Had a pretty good, normal, decent selection of round files. But they had no file with any flat surface. And then, you just cry. You just slip down to the floor and you cry. And after a half an hour, you pull yourself up on the counter because they ignore you. They don't care. They're used to it. They're used to it from foreigners. So you pull yourself up, you adjust your shirt, straighten yourself up, brush your hair back, and see if you peed your pants while you were incommunicado. Maybe you did a little bit, I don't know. And then you slink off and you go start the process through Lazada. And that's going to take some critical component of the whole damn thing is going to be not available. It's not going to show up. It's going to show up as the wrong thing. It's going to break within 4 seconds of trying to use it because it came from China. And then you just, you just give up. And you start missing America. Okay, that's what it's like to do YI projects anywhere in Southeast Asia. I've been around other countries where it's bad, but not as bad as Southeast Asia. Stocking and restocking is something they do not comprehend. I mean, they got computers now, Computers can help you learn about stocking and especially restocking when stocks are low or out. No. We can't do that. No. So if you're moving to the Philippines, if you're in the Philippines, you already know this. You already know all this stuff. You clicked this off, 18 minutes ago, whatever the hell. If you're thinking about moving to the Philippines, just remember that this is what it's going to be. Now, I'm in BGC. This is the most affluent area of all the Philippines. BGC, Bonifacio Global City. Doesn't get any better than this in all the Philippines. And yet, you can buy every kind of trendy t-shirt and shorts. Of course, they're going to be counterfeit from China, but you can still buy all that kind of schleppy crap. But you can't get a file or a drill or a Dremel So the project is not yet done. This all started yesterday. The project is not done. I haven't mustered up the mental fortitude to go on Lazada because I know that's going to. This way lies madness. You're going to get an empty box. I once got a box from Lazada. And on the outside of the box, in about 5 different places, I got pictures of it somewhere, in about 5 different places was beautiful English script written by hand, and it said, quote, "Dear," with my name, "you do not need to receive this one product." And I can't remember what it was. It's probably pliers or something. And I thought, oh, that's funny. That's a joke. And I opened the box and it was full of nothing but wrappers, little candy wrappers. That's all that was in there. Sticky little candy wrappers, like the little toffee things. You put one in your mouth at a time, and they get that little waxy wrapper thing, but they always get sticky anyway. That's the whole box was full of those. And I complained to Lazada, and they said, "Well, look, you got the package, you got your product." It took, as I recall, 5 or 6 months of hounding them forever, sending them pictures of the box, pictures of the wrappers, on and on and on, to get my money back. It was a small amount. It was $10 or something. But that's just a tiny little sample of the insanity that will hit you anywhere in the Philippines. That happened in Thailand through Lazada. And 1,000 other things like that happened through Lazada. I had a 5-story double shop house for quite a few years in Thailand. It needed absolutely everything when I got into it. So you can imagine how many things I had. 5 to 12 orders a day coming from Lazada for a year and a half. And a very large percentage of them turned out like that. So God bless Amazon, sometimes referred to as Scamazon. Well, yeah, sometimes it is, but pretty damn rarely compared to everywhere else in the world. So count your blessings. Amazon is pretty good. I hate to say that, but it is. Okay, so this was my adventure to make a hole in a piece of plastic. And everything else you need to do in Southeast Asia is going to turn out like this, just like this, just like this, just like this, guaranteed, or it's often far worse. Now, my family happens to be rebuilding a very large boat in Vietnam right now. It needs everything. I mean, basically, it's a hull and a keel, not even an engine. And they are trying to bring stuff in from other countries and from Lazada, and trying to go to the hardware stores in Vietnam, which are 18 times worse than Home Labyrinth here in the Philippines, if you can even freaking believe that. They planned on having the boat out of there in 4 to 6 weeks. That was over a year ago. We now have a deadline to get it out in 3 or 4 months. We don't know if we can make that deadline, simply because we can't get stuff in Vietnam. When we do order in stuff, expensive stuff from outside Vietnam, it gets to customs and then goes up in smoke. It disappears because they steal it and they sell it. Virtually every single thing that comes in. So now we are running relay teams back and forth between Vietnam and the US, carrying enough parts to rebuild the big diesel engine, carrying those parts in suitcases to avoid customs. Think about the insanity of that. Hell, here's a quote for you. Hell is the impossibility of reason. Hell, I'll repeat it. Hell, Hell, ... is the impossibility of reason. Now that's tattooed into my brain very well because I own the domain. I haven't figured out what to do with it yet, but no truer statement has ever been made. And when you come to Southeast Asia, if you're coming to Southeast Asia, this is the shit that you're going to deal with, and it's going to drive you insane. Probably. Now, if you only have friends or relatives in Southeast Asia, pray. Just pray for them. That's all I can do. Pray for them. You remember Mars Attacks, little aliens, when they heard the yodeling music? What happened to them? They were green, right? Little green bastards, yeah. Little assholes. What happened to those guys when they heard the yodeling music? Okay, that's what happens to Westerners when they come to Southeast Asia, and they start going through this shit, and their little brains, they start going, and they explode. That's what happens to all of us. Holy shit! All right, end rant. Thank you very much, and good evening, and good night. Now, I got one camera that has no off button. Does this one have one? Yes, it does. Thank you.